One question that we are often being asked is, can I have a normal delivery? Problem is, there is no straightforward yes or no to this question, right? Because whether or not you can have one really depends on a couple of factors.
Yes, so in this video, we are going to explain what these factors are, and then we're also going to share with you 6 simple tips to increase your chances of a normal delivery.
Yes, plus we're also going to reveal what is the most important thing to do during labor, because it will allow you to keep control over your body and thus increase your chances of a normal delivery.
Yes.
This is Nathalie, a pregnancy and birth consultant and TCM therapist.
And that's Matthias, a researcher and Science Geek, and we help expecting mummies and their babies naturally and science-based.
So, can you have a normal delivery? So before we start, what is a normal delivery? Well, to some women, a normal delivery just means a normal vaginal delivery and not a C-section, right? But to other women, normal delivery can also mean no medical intervention, such as labor augmentation or even an epidural. Whatever your definition of a normal delivery is, the following factors will have an impact on whether or not you can have one.
Yes. So first of all, in order to have a normal delivery, particularly one without any medical interventions, your baby needs to be head down.
Exactly. But to be clear, in theory, you could also have a normal vaginal delivery when your baby is breech. However, almost no doctor is willing to try that simply because they are afraid that something could go wrong, right? Therefore, if your baby is not in a head down position, your chances of having a normal delivery are definitely lower in general, right?
Yes. The second factor that can prevent you from having a normal delivery are medical complications during your pregnancy. So we're talking about high blood pressure, preeclampsia, diabetes, etc., right? Now, let me start by saying that just because you suffer from any of those complications does not necessarily mean that you cannot have a normal delivery unless that complication makes it impossible for the baby to be born.
Yes, a good example here is placenta previa, right? Because in that case, your placenta entirely covers your cervix. There is no way how that baby can be born naturally because the exit is blocked, right? But unless certain medical complications make it technically impossible for the baby to be born, they are not necessarily a reason why you cannot have a normal delivery. In fact, we know many women with preeclampsia or diabetes or other medical problems who all had a normal vaginal delivery and they also did not have an induction, right?
Exactly. So whether or not you can have a normal delivery in case of some medical complications depends on the pregnancy case.
Yeah, and also your doctor will should add, because one thing we often observe is that different providers have different opinions if you can have a normal delivery given certain medical complications, right? Some say, no way, you need an induction or even a C-section. Others say, no worries, you can have a normal delivery. Therefore, as we always say, get a second opinion.
Yes, same often applies when a woman's last delivery was a C-section. If your last delivery was a C-section, in theory your next delivery can absolutely be a normal vaginal delivery. However, it depends on a couple of factors, such as the thickness of the uterine scar, for instance. And different providers have different opinions on how thick that uterine scar needs to be for a normal delivery, right?
Yeah.
So if your provider tells you you cannot have a normal delivery after a C-section, then you might want to get a second opinion.
Right. Now, the question is, what can you do to increase your chances of a normal delivery? And just that you know, in the description below this video, you're gonna find the link to a video for each and every factor that we are about to mention in order to help you have a normal delivery, right? So, first of all, obviously, have a healthy lifestyle during your pregnancy, which basically means 3 things. Manage your weight, keep active, and a healthy nutrition.
Yes, and the reason why you should do that is because studies have shown that these things can help you lower the likelihood of developing medical complications during your pregnancy. Therefore, they can increase the likelihood that you are going to have a normal delivery.
Yes. Second, if your baby is not in a good position for labor, try to help baby into a better position. So obviously this means helping baby turn head down, right? But it also means helping baby facing your back instead of your front. And ideally, it also means helping baby engage in your pelvis. Again, if you want to know how to do that, check the description below this video.
Yes. Third, try to avoid medical inductions if possible, right? Of course, under normal circumstances, you are going to have a vaginal delivery when they induce you.
Yes, however, the problem with inductions is that they often lead to further medical interventions such as continuous monitoring of the baby, labor augmentation, instrumental deliveries, and unfortunately, in very rare cases, C-sections, right? So how can you avoid medical inductions?
Well, most importantly, do what we always tell you to do on our channel. Prepare your cervix for labor to increase your chances of a spontaneous delivery, or try to induce labor naturally, because then you're going to have natural contractions as opposed to contractions which were triggered by drugs. And that's great, because then your body is going to support you with its own pain management system called endorphins. And this can increase your chances of not needing any medical interventions.
Exactly. The next tip is, once contractions have started, go to the hospital as late as possible. If you are at the end of your pregnancy, your partner is probably already observing every one of your moves, right? And as soon as they see the slightest expression on your face that could resemble something like pain, they're like, is it time already? Should I bring you to the hospital?
Yeah, I know such a guy as well, by the way.
I'm talking now. Anyways, what I wanted to say is, by the way, would be to go to the hospital as late as possible,
Right.
i.e. when you are in active labor.
Yeah.
But not too late either, right? Because otherwise you're going to have an emergency on the highway.
Yes, studies show that being admitted to the hospital too early increases the risk of medical interventions such as labor augmentation to speed up labor. And again, in general, the problem with medical interventions is always that they increase the risk of further medical interventions and thus also the risk of ending up in a C-section.
Yes, and then here is what we personally believe is the most important thing related to labor, which can also help you have a normal delivery. And that's your breathing during labor. And we strongly recommend that you practice breathing techniques before you go into labor, so that you have internalized them before your contractions start, right? Breathing is really the most important thing to focus on in preparation for labor, and then obviously during labor, even if you have an epidural, by the way. Because what many women don't know is that breathing is not only a tool to help cope with labor pain, it is also a tool that allows you to support your labor and your baby, and most importantly, it allows you to keep labor going. Insofar, it can also help you increase your chances of a normal delivery, right? However, you have to do it the right way, because the problem is, if you do it the wrong way, the effect will be the exact opposite. And that is why in our free mini birthing course, we use a device to compare what impact right and wrong breathing has on the body and on labor.
Yes, so if you have not done so already, then watch our free mini birthing course that you can find in the description below this video. In that course, we teach you how not to breathe during labor, and then we also show you how to do it the right way and how to use your breathing to keep labor going. And as Mathias just said, we even prove to you with the help of a device that some breathing techniques are superior to other breathing techniques when it comes to labor.
Right.
If you have found this video helpful, we would be super grateful if you could leave us a like below this video.
Yes, and for more useful tips and tools on pregnancy and baby related topics, make sure to subscribe to our channel and to hit the bell.